Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into some fascinating, very data-driven ideas from Jim Collins' work on how companies go from just being good to truly great, sustained greatness. Yeah, we've got all the research here from good to great, and our goal, really, is to pull out those core principles that you can actually use. We want to understand the code, you know? How did a few companies manage to beat the market by 3 times for 15 years straight? What was the secret sauce?
It's fascinating because the research showed it wasn't luck. It wasn't just being in the right sector at the right time. I mean, they spent 5 years on this, looked at almost 1,500 companies, all to isolate those 11 that actually made that jump. And they found it was systematic.
Systematic, not random.
Exactly. And the biggest finding, the one that really turns things upside down, is that greatness is, it's a choice. It's about discipline. It's not about your circumstances, which leads right to that famous quote from the book: good is the enemy of great. Being comfortable, being just okay, that stops you from striving. Complacency, basically. That makes so much sense. It's easy to be just good enough. But okay, if we're talking about breaking past good enough, Collins first tackled leadership, right? And not in the way you might expect, because you picture these transformative CEOs and you think, big personalities, charisma, maybe a bit of an ego, someone who commands the room. But the data, it pointed somewhere else entirely.
Completely the opposite, actually. The first core idea is what he called level 5 leadership. These leaders, the ones who build greatness, they had this paradoxical mix. On one hand, deep personal humility, really modest. But on the other, this incredibly fierce professional will, determination.
Okay, so humble but driven.
Fiercely driven. But their ambition wasn't for themselves, not for fame or fortune. It was all poured into the company, into building something that would last long after they were gone.
Yeah.
They're the quiet engines, building success without needing the spotlight.
You mentioned Darwin Smith at Kimberly-Clark as an example. He sounds like the archetype.
Yeah.
Very modest, didn't like the limelight at all. Exactly. You wouldn't see him on magazine covers, but he took this kind of stodgy old paper company and turned it into a world leader in consumer paper goods. Just relentless focus and execution.
But I guess the question then is, if they're so quiet and humble, how do they drive change? Don't you sometimes need that charisma to rally people, especially when things get tough?
That's a really good question. And Collins argues that level 5 leaders inspire through standards, not through their personality cult. They build a culture where excellence is just expected. It's transparent, it's rigorous. People aren't inspired by the leader's ego, they're inspired by the mission itself, by the high bar that's been set.
So the standard pulls people along.
Precisely. And the humility is key. Ego poisons organizations. Humility, combined with that relentless work ethic, builds something lasting. Level 5 leaders, when things go wrong, they look in the mirror. Things go right, they look out the window and credit the team.
Okay, I see. And that focus on the team leads perfectly into the next big principle, doesn't it? First who, then what?
Yes. This one's huge. Great companies get the right people on the bus first. And just as importantly, they get the wrong people off the bus. Then they figure out where to drive it.
People before strategy.
Absolutely. Don't hire people to fit a predetermined strategy. Hire great people and trust them to help figure out the best path forward, even if it changes.
I think getting the wrong people off the bus is where a lot of places struggle. It's hard.
Yeah.
We know how to spot talent, usually, but removing someone who's maybe okay, but just not the right fit for where you're going, that takes discipline.
It takes real, sometimes painful discipline. The great companies, according to the research, they didn't agonize over these decisions. They acted decisively. They saw it not as being mean, but as being rigorous and fair to everyone else on the bus. They had high standards, rigorous reviews. They didn't fall into the trap of keeping underperformers around just because they were, nice or well-liked.
So align the talent first, build the team, then point it somewhere.
Exactly, because if you have the right people, they'll adapt and find the way, even when the market throws you a curveball.
Okay, so you've got this level 5 leader, you've got the right team, disciplined people, but the world outside is messy, right? Markets shift, competitors emerge. How do these companies stay focused and, sane?
That brings us to the Stockdale Paradox. This is critical. confront the brutal facts,
Yeah.
yet never lose faith.
It's a Stockdale Paradox.
Right. It's this amazing mental discipline. On one hand, they are absolutely unflinching in facing the harsh realities, market threats, bad numbers, product failures, no sugarcoating, brutal honesty. But at the exact same time, they maintain this unwavering belief, almost like a faith, that they will prevail in the end, no matter how difficult things are right now.
Named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, the POW in Vietnam. That story is so powerful.
It really is. He saw that the pure optimists, the ones say, oh, we'll be out by Christmas, they were crushed when Christmas came and went. But the ones who only saw the brutal reality, they lost hope completely.
So you need both. Realism and faith. How does a company actually do that today? You see bad sales figures, a competitor makes a big move. How do you face that honestly without it leading to panic or just giving up?
You have to build systems for honesty, create a climate where people feel safe telling the truth, especially the bad news. Make bad news travel faster than good news. Collins talks about things like red flag mechanisms, ways to force uncomfortable truths onto the table. The faith isn't in the current situation being rosy. The faith is in the company's inherent capacity, the discipline, the people, the leadership to get through whatever reality throws at it.
Look reality square in the eye, but keep believing you'll win.
That's the essence. That balance keeps the ship steady.
And keeping steady often means saying no, right? Facing brutal facts might mean realizing you're spread too thin. Mediocre companies often try to do everything.
Whereas great companies find focus, they simplify. And that's the Hedgehog Concept.
Ah, yes, the hedgehog. Based on that old saying, the fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing.
Exactly. It's about finding that one core thing your organization can do better than anyone else and sticking to it. It's not just a goal or a slogan. It's a deep empirical understanding that sits at the intersection of three circles.
Okay, what are the three circles?
First, what can you be the absolute best in the world at? And crucially, what can you not be the best at? Second, what drives your economic engine? What's the key metric, like profit per X, that you need to focus on? And third, what are you deeply passionate about?
That first circle seems key. What you can be the best at, not just what you're currently doing, or even what you're good at. How do companies get honest about that? That seems tough.
It requires real intellectual honesty, yeah. And sometimes it means making painful choices, like shutting down divisions, even profitable ones, if they don't fit within that intersection.
So ditching things you're good at if you can't be the best.
If it doesn't align with your hedgehog, yes. The lesson is find that sweet spot best in the world, drives your economics, fuels your passion, and then pour all your disciplined energy into that. Forget the rest.
Okay, so you've got the leader, the people, the mindset, the hedgehog focus. Now, how does this translate into day-to-day execution? That brings us to the culture of discipline.
Right. And this follows naturally. If you have level 5 leaders and you have self-disciplined people because you got the right people on the bus, then you don't need layers of bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy is like a substitute for competence.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Or a substitute for discipline. Collins found that great companies operate with freedom and responsibility within a clear framework, not top-down control. The formula seemed to be freedom plus accountability, sustainable growth. It's about consistency, clear standards, holding people accountable within that system. That consistently beats, the big flashy bets and the hype cycles you see elsewhere.
Speaking of hype, technology, we're swimming in it.
Yeah.
AI, new platforms, constant disruption. Where does tech fit into this good to great picture?
Collins called them technology accelerators, and the key word is accelerators. Technology doesn't create greatness. It amplifies what's already there.
So it's not the cause, it's a multiplier. And
Exactly. The great companies never started their transformation because of some new technology. They figured out their hedgehog concept first, built the discipline, got the flywheel turning. Then they used technology strategically to accelerate momentum within those three circles.
can you give an example?
Sure, like Wells Fargo, they didn't suddenly become great because ATMs were invented. They already had a hedgehog concept around convenience in a specific region. ATMs just helped them accelerate that existing strategy.
Ah, okay. So the lesson for us today is don't chase every shiny new tech trend. Only adopt technology if it directly helps you do your hedgehog thing better. Otherwise, it's just a distraction.
A potentially huge distraction, yeah. Technology is a tool in the service of your core concept, not the concept itself.
Got it. And all these disciplined actions, people focus, tech, applied correctly, they build on each other, right? That's the flywheel idea.
The flywheel, yes, probably the most powerful analogy in the book. Greatness doesn't happen overnight. There's no single killer app, no miracle moment, no dramatic revolution.
It's like pushing a giant, heavy flywheel.
Exactly. At first, it takes incredible effort just to get it moving an inch. Each push is a disciplined decision, a small win, hard work, but you keep pushing consistently in the same direction.
And eventually.
Eventually, momentum builds. It starts to turn easier. Then it builds more momentum and more, until finally, breakthrough. It's spinning fast, almost under its own power. That cumulative effect is unstoppable.
As opposed to the doom loop.
Right, the doom loop is the opposite. That's the pattern in mediocre companies. They push the flywheel one way, then stop. They launch a new program, change direction, bring in a new leader with a totally different vision, push another way.
They never build momentum.
Never. They're always starting over, lurching from one fad to the next, reacting instead of building. It's exhausting and ineffective.
So the takeaway is patience. Relentless consistency. Which honestly sounds harder than just launching something new and flashy.
It is harder. It requires more discipline.
Okay, this framework clearly had a massive impact. Let's shift to the final part. Its relevance today, and maybe some critical points.
Well, the impact was huge, no doubt. Collins brought a systematic, data-backed approach. He connected hard numbers, financial performance, with the softer side, the psychology of leadership. He showed transformation wasn't magic. It was almost formulaic.
And you see these ideas everywhere now, don't you? Fortune 500, startups, even nonprofits, government.
Absolutely. The principles resonate because they're about fundamental human organization and discipline.
But we need to be balanced. There have been criticisms, right?
Oh, definitely. And they're important. The main one is about correlation versus causation. Collins identified successful companies and then looked for common traits. It's hard to prove definitively that those traits caused the success, rather than just being present during success.
The survivor bias issue. You study the winners, you find patterns. But what about companies that had the patterns and still failed?
Exactly. Which ties into the second big criticism. Some of the great companies highlighted later ran into serious trouble. Circuit City is the classic example. Celebrated for discipline, then it collapsed. Fannie Mae, another one.
That's a tough one. If the principles are so solid, why did some of these exemplars fail later? Does that invalidate the whole idea?
I don't think it invalidates the findings about the leap to greatness, but it adds a crucial layer. It suggests that achieving greatness is one thing. Sustaining it requires relentless, continuous application of those same principles.
So Circuit City, for instance, maybe they lost their hedgehog. Or the discipline slipped.
Arguably, yes. They lost focus, chased trends in an undisciplined way, maybe stopped confronting the brutal facts about how retail was changing. The level 5 discipline might have waned. It hammers home that excellence isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a continuous process of applying these disciplines day in, day out.
That's a really sobering but important point.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What are the key takeaways if you're aiming for excellence? Let's try 5. 1. It starts with who, not what. Get the right people first. 2, humble leadership wins. That level 5 mix of humility and fierce will. Ego kills, focus builds. 3, find your hedgehog. What can you be best at? What drives your engine? What are you passionate about? Focus relentlessly on that intersection.
Absolutely.
4, build a culture of discipline, freedom and responsibility, consistency, accountability, no excuses.
Right.
And 5, push the flywheel. Momentum over miracle moments. Small, consistent efforts compound into massive results.
Couldn't summarize it better. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, building on that criticism about companies failing later. If greatness requires this constant discipline, this daily confronting of brutal facts, what specific discipline did companies like Circuit City eventually let slide? It really makes you wonder if sustaining greatness, especially when the world keeps changing, is actually much, much harder than achieving it in the first place. Is that the ultimate level 5 test?
That's a great question to ponder. Sustaining versus achieving. Okay, whether you're leading a company, a team, or just yourself towards a big goal, these ideas, humility, focus, discipline, consistency, they're powerful, and you can apply them starting now. Push that flywheel. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.